Welcome back to the Jason Reuter Show here on the BCHS.TV, the Bear Network we call it. You can watch all of our programs on YouTube. Simply go to YouTube, search for BCHS.TV, and you'll find all of our programs at your viewing pleasure there. We don't have a player with us this week. We do have someone sort of important, a former player, and then now an assistant coach. And Coach, I'll let you, and as always, let you introduce who you brought with you today.
Well, I think everybody knows this is Coach Tinsley, Amy Tinsley. To my left here, my assistant coach, and proud to have her in the program and on the show this morning, and a big part of what we do here. So this is definitely a family type situation with Bearettes, and we got to have. It's a lot of moving parts, and this girl beside me does a lot behind and in the scenes and behind the scenes. So we're going over things this morning that people can only imagine trying to run a program.
Well, Amy Profit, as we knew as a Bearette back in the mid-90s, played for Coach Cretton and on a really, really good team there. Mm-hmm. The old left-hander, us left-handers remember each other there. But your role as assistant coach, when you're on the bench, are you telling him, hey, you need to sub now or whatever? You remind him of things like that, or does he look to you, or is the old man crazy and he don't know what he's talking about anyway? Or,
I think Freeman and I both make suggestions to him. I mean, ultimately, it's his call. But we do, he listens to us and, takes what we have to say, and, he decides what he wants to do from there. So. Well,
the old saying is, if he don't listen to you, if you agree with everything he says, he don't need you.
That's right. He told me when he hired me.
You need somebody to be the devil's advocate, so to speak.
I don't want a yes woman or a yes man.
Yeah.
And that's what he told me when he hired me. I don't want somebody just to agree with me all the time. And I think we butt heads and practice a little bit, but we walk off the court and, we.
Yeah.
That's
it is what it is.
That's rare, yeah. I mean, you're going to have, it's an emotional sport.
Very.
Sometimes I need people to tell me, read the temperature of the water, Gary. Coach Tinsley being a female, me coaching female athletes, I need some time for her to put her toes in the water and let me know what the temperature is, because I'm not in the locker room when the girls are changing. I'm not there, I've got to do a protocol before I walk into the locker room, and so I can't imagine coaching high school girls basketball without having a female assistant. I can't imagine.
I couldn't either.
You could do it. I know guys that do it, but I think that it makes the job easier and it makes things run smoother. So proud to have her.
Well, she's probably someone that the girls feel more comfortable talking about certain things with her during the course of the season, because it's not just things on the basketball court, because there's drama, at this age, we've all been there,
Well, you got illnesses, you got sicknesses, and I'm an assistant coach. I think I've said this, I know Amy's heard me say it, I've said it many times. Of course, some people may not remember this. I was assistant coach for 16 years. At Meigs for 4, 12 here at Bradley. Mm-hmm. I think that it helped me. I know some people say, that's a long time to be assistant, but I was in a very good situation here with Kent Smith and the boys, and we were winning, and my wife from Bradley County had a good job. I only interviewed one place in those 12 years and didn't take the job, because this is a good community to live in, a good school to work at, and I just think that me being assistant all those years makes me understand this role a lot better than saying I only did it 1 year or 2 years or 3. So that's my 2 cents.
Amy, in practice, what's your role in practice when you're out there? Are you working most with offensively, defensively, or mix it up, or do you have a defined role, or is it just?
I mean, a lot of times we try to split up a little bit. Since I'm the head JV coach, I take the JV girls, and we don't get a lot of reps in practice. Our reps are usually playing defense against the varsity a lot. So, but I think that prepares our girls to jump up to the varsity level, because they play defense a lot, and they're guarding one of the top, I think, 5 teams in the state of Tennessee every day. So, my role, I'm a very positive person, and I try to build these girls up and, try to make them believe that they're sometimes bigger than what they think they are themselves. So I think it's a very good balance between Coach Reuter and I, just, me playing with the heartstrings with the girls, the emotions and that kind of thing, and then him keeping them in order and, pushing them as far as they can go.
Well, basketball is a very emotional game, and sometimes you can get down on yourself real quick, like if you're shooting, never hitting a shot, but, you got to keep pumping them up there. Mm-hmm. And I know you're good at doing that kind of thing, give them that positive attitude there. We're going to have girls JV game this week, looks like, with Ray County. That'll be happening Tuesday night, which is the day we're recording this, so tonight be playing girls. Have you got many JV games on your belt?
I think we're 5-1 now.
So you've got 6 games in.
I think 6 games so far. You know, it's been hit or miss a lot. You know, there's teams that don't carry JV teams, and we put a lot of emphasis, Coach Reuter does, since I think, you know, he hit on it. He's been a JV coach for 16 years, and he thinks it's important for those girls, you know, to get playing time and practice time. And, you know, we try to play as many JV games as we can a season.
Well, the good thing about your girls, you mentioned this, you touched on this, you know, your JV babies, as you call them sometimes, they're playing against one of the top teams of state, so that's got to make them get better over the course of the year, you know, through the practice and all that, because, hey, who are you going to practice against that's going to be any better than the Bearettes, you know, the varsity Bearettes? I mean, that goes without saying, I think, there. But, Coach, I know you look to her for a lot of things and to keep you in line, and Coach Freeman, and I think we've got one of the best statisticians anywhere, and Adam Belford, too, that, I mean, goodness gracious, that guy can about do it all there. Maybe we'll get him on here one day when he's not tied up with Lee in class or something like that. But
Yeah.
Your schedule this week, well, let's go back and look at last week. Had 3 good wins last week, 2 over district opponents here at home, and Howard and Oodawal, and we know Howard's rebuilding, and Oodawal is coming back. Jamie Baird, who transferred, or not transferred, but moved from Cleveland as assistant girls to the head coach there. He improved him. 2 years ago, they were winless. Last year, they went 15-15. So he's obviously done something right and got some folks in there. And they were a very young team. We played on Friday night. One senior, that's Bernier girls, only senior they had on that team. I think he dressed 4 freshmen, too. So they're an upcoming pro. But you got those 2 wins there, and you went to Knox Catholic Saturday, and they're missing a player or 2, but still a quality program. And you couldn't play much better, I don't think, than you did in that game there. It all clicked for us. We had some things we got to work on. We missed a lot of free throws, and I hope we practice free throws since then. But you mentioned something in our post-game interview. You said we have 6 metrics or goals, whatever you want to call them, in defense and 5 in offense. Or might have it backwards there, but
Other way around, yeah.
You met all of them, 5 of them in defense. Every metric. How do you measure success? Have you ever lost a game where you hit all those metrics, you know, on defense and offense?
No.
If you hit those, you're going to win, right? Is that the way you look at it?
Yeah, we have 11 goals, 6 on offense and 5 on defense, and we've never, very rarely, it's rare that you hit all 11. I mean, I'm setting them, for example, we want 12 turnovers or less. Mm-hmm. We want to force the other team to 15 turnovers or more. We want to win the rebounding war. We want to shoot a certain percentage from the field. Mm-hmm. We want to hold opponents to a certain percentage. I don't know, Coach Tinsley, it may be 1 or 2 games a year that we hit all 11 of them, just 2 or 3 games a year. Mm-hmm. For example, the Howard game, I would imagine. Yeah. But you can still be off on free throws.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know,
That's free throws.
Yeah, free throws. So, but we hit all 5 against Knox Catholic on defense, and on offense, believe it or not, we put up 68 points. I don't think we only hit 2 of the 6 goals. And
one of them was free throws.
One was free throws. We were 11 for 20, and that's not good enough. And but that's a measuring stick. You know, it's kind of how we come in after a game, and before I'm done, they know I'm going to get that out. And they're kind of sitting there, kind of waiting to hear, like
a teacher.
It's almost like grades, like you got a 95, you got an 85, you got a 99, you got a 100.
Yeah.
So they're waiting to hear those goals. So, you know, if you don't have goals, I don't know you know what you're aiming for. Like if you get in your car right now and you're going to drive to Chattanooga, in your mind, you've got a route and goals how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think this is a way for our kids to have a goal, how we're going to win this game. And we preach defense. And even though we scored 68 points and won easily at Knox Catholic, I asked the girls what won this game, and they all together said defense. Mm-hmm. So that's the way we do it here. So I'm not saying we do it the best way. There's a lot of different ways, but that's how we do it here.
Well, you're 9-0 overall, 3-0 in district play. You got a district game tonight. You have one. That'll be the last one until January when we come back from the Christmas break there. But in between now and January, you've got a pretty tough schedule coming up. After Tuesday night, you're going Friday to Rockville High School to play not Lee University, but Huntsville Lee High School out of Alabama, of course. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if you do or not, but You'll be there at Rockville High School, though. That's over in Murfreesboro. I've not been to Rockville. Where is it over there? Is it near some of the other schools?
They split up the Riverdale zone, so I've never been there either. I'm assuming it's on the left side of the interstate.
Where Riverdale is?
Yeah. Yes, or somewhere close to that, but they...
Guess we'll find out.
It was the last game we added to our schedule. We were one short, and I don't think I added it until school started back, which is very rare for me to add a game once school starts back. And so they're having a showcase. It's a Friday-Saturday deal. We couldn't play in both. We only play in one. And I said, who's your best opponent on Friday? And the coach of Rockville told me it was Huntsville Lee, he thought. So I said, well, I'll come if I can play Huntsville Lee.
How did that come about? Is it a classic, or is it just a group getting together?
It's a classic.
Any special?
It's got a name. I'd have to look it up. It's I think they're trying to build it. They're trying to invite better teams, better than average teams, and sometimes you got to accept whoever will come to start something.
Right.
And then you go from there. I think this is maybe the second year they've done it. And Huntsville Lee, as soon as I got off the phone, I looked on Max Preps, and Huntsville Lee was, I'm going to throw a number, 25-7 last year, I believe, 26-7. But this year I've noticed that they're right at 500. I don't know if they've got an injury. I don't know if they lost all their best players. I don't think he set me up for a bad game. We're going to prepare for them like anybody else. I've got 2 films on them. I've already looked at them a little bit, but when I get home from Ray County tonight, I'll start diving into that. And I got to, because we got to practice Wednesday, and then we practice Thursday. We're on final exams right now, so our practice schedules are a little out of whack. And, you know, I'm not too worried right now about Huntsville Lee. I'm worried about Ray County, and then we'll play them one at a time.
Do your metrics change game to game based on who the opponent is, or do you set those first year, say every single game this is what we're going to try to do, or?
They stay the same every game.
Stay the same.
On our goals.
Yeah.
Now you know, I look at them realistically, like, look, let's be honest here. If you're going to hold this team under 45, what do you think about this team? And they'll say, well, 35. You know, but I don't change the goal. Right. But I just say, let's be honest. If you can hold so and so to 42, do you think this team's better or worse? And a lot of that can be how the game goes, fouls or whatever, and shooting, but. Anyhow.
Well, I've looked at your stats over the weekend, and you're giving up right at 30 points a game, a little over 30, I believe, something like that. But you're scoring close to 70 a game. So that's a huge margin, 40 points, I guess.
Well, we got one really skewed game in there with Howard.
I know, but still, you take that game out of the situation, though, and still you got a really good average margin, which is not unusual for us, but
right.
I'm sure Coach Tinsley takes credit for a lot of that, you know, because
absolutely,
and she should, rightfully so. There. Let me ask you something too, Amy. What's the biggest difference you see from the time you played? That's been almost 20 years ago now, a little over 20, I guess. In the game back then, as you played it and knew it then, and Coach Paul Creighton here is a Bearette until today's game. Do you see what is changed for the better or worse? I mean. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I think high school hasn't changed a whole lot since I was here many moons ago, but I think the big thing with basketball right now is AAU. The AAU circuit has changed. You know, when I played AAU, we had probably like a sub-state, a state, and a national, and there was not all these travel mom and pop showcases and stuff, so AAU has expanded. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. You know, sometimes it's a money racket. But you know, I think the tradition here at Bradley is so strong, and we graduate great players, and then great players move in here, and you know, not move in, but come in here, and they grew up here, and it's a place like no other to play.
Well, it's like a lot of pros. I think once you get to this elite level that the Bearettes are at, it's sort of self-perpetuating feat. I mean, I want to play for the Bearettes. I want to be a Bearette. I don't want to go to school that's going to lose time after time after time.
You know, I think a lot of teams too, well, you know, they could have a group of 3 come in that's really good in a class, and you know, they could be good for 2 or 3 years, and just the tradition that we've had, and just year after year, just competing at a high level, it's across the state of Tennessee. It's pretty incredible. Winningest
team in state history there, either boys or girls. I know you don't like to talk ahead about games since it's our last game of the year. Let's talk about the Carolina Invitational over there and what you know about it. We're going to play 5 o'clock on the 28th, which is a Wednesday, against Holly Springs, North Carolina. And we're bracketed with a couple of teams, one from South Carolina and one from North Carolina. This is I'll let you explain it, 64-team field divided into 8 groups of 8, with 8 different brackets. We're in what they call the azalea bracket, which is the uppermost, supposedly the best teams that are invited to be there. And I know you know very little about any of them, except Oakland's in there, Oakland, Tennessee, from Murfreesboro, Oakland. They're in the bottom half of the bracket, so we could see them, either loser side or winner side, depending on how things fall. But this could be a good test. We've played Dorman, South Carolina before, because Dorman, we've played on their floor.
Twice.
Twice, yeah. One and
one against them. Before we get to this, I do want to remind everybody, this is unusual. We play East Hamilton on the 19th. Monday. So I know that kids are out of school, and the times are moved up. There's no JV girls. The JV boys, forgive me, I think we're going at 3:30, 5, and 6:30 on Monday.
Okay.
So I'd ask our fans to come out, if you can, we'd love to have you here. It's a little bit early. It's on a Monday. There's a wrestling tournament going on here that's been going on since the beginning of time, and we had to move around that.
Okay.
So I want to invite our fans out to that. But then let's get to the Charleston tournament. Yeah, I've never been. They called me 10 or 11 years ago when they started this. The first year they had it, they asked us to come over. No money involved, no free anything, and I'd already committed somewhere else. And it might have been Dorman, actually, to a tournament. And so they've been on the back of my radar. And I've watched it grow, just check on it once, twice a year. It's gotten bigger, bigger. So now they got 64 girls teams, and they put you in 8 different tournaments. It's an 8-team bracket. And look here.
There it is.
Like this. I don't know if we can zoom in or not. We can zoom in. This is a first for me. But anyhow, we play Holly Springs. I've already got 1 film on them, looking for more. We play them on the 28th at 5 o'clock.
That's a Wednesday.
If we win, we play Thursday at 1:30. If we lose, we play Thursday at 11 a.m. So I know that Dorman is second biggest high school in the state of South Carolina, and this last time I checked, and Summersville was number 1.
Wow.
So we got
big schools.
Big schools here. The tournament, our 18 bracket is played at Summerville High School. They were state runner-up last year, and they supposedly got 4 of their 5 starters back. So we're going to a tournament that you could lose all 3, and we could win all 3, or we could go 2-1, 1-2, whatever combination. We're going over to win every game. You know that about us, but we're not going just to go to amusement parks or whatever. Right. We're going to play basketball. But I want my girls to have some fun. We're going to Charleston. I've never been to Charleston. Have you ever been? Yes, your husband's from Charleston.
You'll enjoy it.
You've been there?
Yeah, it's very historic.
So we're looking to take on a little more than basketball, but at the same time, we want to go over and compete and win every game. And I'm looking forward to, when school's out, you don't have these other burdens of, we have other jobs besides coaching basketball, and these kids have academics. So Christmas break is a time that you can just take a little bit of time off, focus on basketball. You might make or break your year during the Christmas break. You may make or break it. Now, I don't mean that doesn't mean whether we go over and win this or not. It means how much better do we get over Christmas break? Because when you come back, it's boom, 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 back in school, and it's just on, never ending.
Well, that's the whole point, I think, of playing in tough tournaments like this during the Christmas break. They're not region games or district games or anything like that. No one anywhere near here. Recall 2019, we lost a couple of games in an out-of-state tournament. Was that Arizona? Was it? Or
lost 1.
Out there in Arizona?
Phoenix, yeah.
And come back, and that kind of game, even if you lose, probably say, well, hey, you know what? Here's why we got beat. We didn't do this, we didn't do that, we didn't play defense, we didn't execute offense, we didn't hit free throws. It might give you some more leverage, in practice. Say, girls, I don't know if it does or not, but it's.
Sometimes a stumble will stop a fall. So. Look, you play 35, 60 games. I've told this to my team. An old coach told me this when I was a young coach. He said, Coach Reuter, if you play 20, 35, 37 games, he said, there's going to be 4 or 5 nights a year you can beat anybody. There's going to be 4 or 5 nights and anybody can beat you. The ball won't go in, the calls don't go your way, whatever. And then the rest of it's somewhere in the middle. So I'm not asking my girls to have one of those 4 or 5 night games where they just shoot 65% and everything goes your way. But what we don't want to have one of those 4 or 5 the other way. I know it's somewhere, it's realistic. You got to be in the middle right here. And if you play good teams and get beat, losing's not final. It's not fatal.
Right.
If we go over and lose and it makes us better, I guarantee you, I'd take a loss right here or 2 losses, whatever, and if it made us win a state championship, then I'd do it every year. So that's just our formula, is try to go find somewhere good to play and play good teams and enjoy ourselves a little bit too and get away from town and see something new. I like seeing new stuff.
Well, and that's great. I was going to comment about that because in the last few years you've been to Arizona out there, played in the Nike Tournament of Champions or something like that.
Right.
You went to the Grand Canyon, place like that. Kids flew for the very first time in their life. A lot of the parents got to go.
Yeah.
Went to Naples, Florida, and played the year after that, I believe. And now you're going to Charles, South Carolina, which is one of the most historic towns in this whole country. And
in between that, we squeezed in Greenville.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Greenville, which is probably the toughest Christmas tournament in the whole state in the girls' side, you know.
Right. Could be the best Christmas tournament in Tennessee. So
and don't they have boys here too? 64 boys teams and longs. That's a lot of basketball in that town. A lot of schools.
Yeah, there's this. I could say this is the largest number of teams of any tournament. Well, no, Phoenix. I guess the Nike tournament. This may be bigger. I don't know. The number of teams we count boys and girls. And it's hard for me to remember. There wasn't 4 or 5 levels of the Nike tournament, and. But yeah, this is a tremendous undertaking. Like, they've changed the schedule 5 or 6 times. We were supposed to play dormant, and 4 days later I get another email, they changed it. I don't know what happened. Oakland wasn't in our bracket, then Oakland got in there. We asked to play in the toughest bracket, and that's all we can do. But so far, the gentleman running this has communicated well. We're looking to have a good time. There's tremendous hotel. Imagine the hotel bookings this takes.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a list of 12 or 14 hotels to pick from. So we're trying to stay as close to downtown Charleston as we can. We're driving 30 minutes to play because I wanted our kids to experience the history of downtown Charleston.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, Gary.
No, it's not.
Not cheap.
I couldn't afford staying downtown. I was in North Charleston when I was over there, but well, you'll have a good time. That's where the Civil War, the first shot of the Civil War at Fort Sumter there. And there's things you can do there and see. Go Poe's Tavern. Edgar Allan Poe was in the Navy. Served right there in the U.S. Navy. That's where he wrote a lot of his drunken diatribes about the Raven or whatever, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of things to see and do there. We wish you the best of luck. We got big game, district game on the road tonight at Ray County. We have girls JV, boys JV. We'll kick off at 3:30 with girls JV, I think, there. We'll have that on Mix 104.1 if you want to tune in. Also tonight we got wrestling on Bear TV. There'll be home wrestling Howard and McMinn County tonight, so keep that in mind. Mr. Freud and folks here that produce all our shows will have that streaming for you live from Bear, Jim Smith Arena tonight. We'll be back here Tuesday night with Ray County after we play at Rockville Friday at 5:30 against Huntsville Lee. And then we'll go to the tournament here. We come back January 6th. We got Knox Catholic in town. And Stewart's Creek for the boys' side. January the 6th, that'll be a Friday. We come back from the Christmas break. So, until next time, Amy, thank you for being here as always.
Thanks for having me.
Always talking to you and Coach Reuter. This is Gary Ownbey saying so long for now. God bless and go Bearettes.